Welcome to the ChairLife podcast with Tom Cuthbert. As a CEO coach and master chair, Tom brings you the insights, strategies, and tools to help you build your chair life, where mission and purpose intersect with a balanced work life. This is the path to leading with impact while living with intention. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Tom Cuthbert.
Welcome back to the ChairLife podcast. I look forward to our conversation today. And as silly as it sounds, we're going to talk about coloring things. In this case, coloring in your calendar. Now, my calendar used to be a chaotic mess. I used colors to identify work things and personal things and stuff like that. But honestly, when I looked at it years ago, it looked more like a toddler's finger painting than something that's organized like a Picasso masterpiece. And so I went through and I came up with a system to color code lots of different activities on my calendar. And it created a bunch of benefits for me. So today I wanted to share with you what that journey has been for me, how I do that, and how you can do that to save time, increase your productivity, improve your life balance, and make you a better chair. So like most CEOs and busy people, I've been buried with life. And, I've been drowning in the chaos that we all live in. And years ago, I really started understanding or taking time to understand how my world worked and where I needed to build in breaks and how I needed to restructure things. I was just overwhelmed. I was working a lot of hours to do very little work. And that chaos really threw off my life balance. Over the last 13 years of being a Vistage chair, for every single year, I have worked less hours. Now, the exception was in 2020 with COVID. I think we all worked like crazy that year to help our community. But every other year since then, the number of hours that I've worked has gone down. And I would say a good measure of productivity, whether you look at income per hour or the impact that you're having on a community, I would say the impact has gone up. And so the way that I've done this has been to track and manage the time that I'm spending working. So this year, for example, I'll work about 1,360 hours total, which is almost it's 50% lower than it was just 7 or 8 years ago. So I do this by color coding my calendar. And this gives me a lot of benefit that I'll chat about here in a moment. So first of all, I use a Google Calendar and it's pretty easy. And I know other calendar systems have different color coding, but here are the labels that I use in my color code. First is the one that I think is most important for all of us, health and wellness. So items on my calendar are in yellow that are health and wellness things. So workouts, doctor visits, conversations with my longevity coach, whatever it is that's good for me, I just simply keep those things and label those things in yellow. Then personal time. And this could be time for family, for reading, for, staring off into space or whatever. But I color code those just so I can identify personal time. Now, I don't color code, for example, when I'm off, but things that drop into my day or that are meaningful events, I put a label on. The third color is my other business interests. They fall under a company called Sales City Group, and we own a number of companies in there, including Sandler and Chair Success Services, Spark City Academy. And so that lets me know when I'm investing into other businesses besides Vistage, my primary activity. The next one, Vistage time, which is blue, by the way, just like Vistage logo color. And so that's when I'm spending time with members. It's when I'm with, teaching and facilitating group meetings, things like that. I have another color for candidates, people that are trying to enter our world, either as a coaching client or as a Vistage member. I color those in green. And so that I set those aside and I can look back and see when I've had conversations with people that are candidates for a world. And that's also helped me follow up with them. If we didn't move forward at that time, I'll go back at the end of the year and kind of scan all the candidate conversations that I've had and see if maybe they're in a different place now. I label what I call give back, which is I serve on a nonprofit board, a couple of them actually, and just doing things that are service. I label those and try to track those as well, because like all of us, I want to give back. And one of my goals this year is to give over 10% of my time to others, and mentoring and board service and working in different areas to support nonprofits is an important thing to me, and I imagine that it is to you. The red color goes to rescheduling. So this happens a lot. Meetings come in and we just need to reschedule it. So mark those in red allows me to see when we need to take action on that. Coaching, which I've got a handful of paid coaching clients. That's a different color as well. Travel, when I'm on the road, I identify that as well. Casetaville is our beach house, so that's just family time. And so that time, and then family events. So when we have our grandkids or are doing things that are intentional events for family, I'll label those things as well. So that may sound like a lot, and it is. There's a lot of different colors that I use on my calendar. Google allows you to then do a report that shows how much time, what percentage of your time, and how many hours you're spending in each of these activities. And so I look at that on a monthly basis, and it helps me assess, am I investing enough time into the things that mean the most to me? Am I investing too much time in things that distract me from the things that mean the most to me? And so we review that every month, and I go back, and it allows me to really get a sense of where I am, and I can course correct for the next month if needed. So color coding is a great start. And again, I suggest you do it. But what are the benefits? Why in the world would you spend time doing this? Okay, I'll answer that. Here are 6 reasons or what the benefits are to investing the time to color code your calendar and then go back and look at it. Number 1 is clarity. I know where my time is going, and I don't feel like we can control time. In fact, I know we can't control time, but we can control our own activities. And by color coding it and looking at it, reviewing it, we're able to know where every minute sneaks off. Balance is the second one. It allows me to look at my life on a monthly basis, where I'm spending time and what I'm spending time on and who I'm spending time with, and course correct if needed from there. It is a big productivity increase. For example, when looking at my day, there's blank space in between meetings, and that's rest and recovery that I'll talk about in the second part of our podcast today. That few minutes that I schedule myself to do is just time to think and relax and recover. And so it's critical when you have so much for us to do that we schedule it in such a way so that the work comes to us. And looking at the color codes on my calendar allows me to increase my productivity. Number 4 is it reduces my stress. It allows me to let things come to me in a way that's not, mentally draining. I talked a few episodes ago about decision fatigue, and having these things color-coded lets me know what's coming and the purpose of why it's coming. 5 is goal achievement. We're all trying to achieve things. But when we set them out and we track it and we look at the time, color coding and reflecting back on where I invested my time last month tells me, hey, I'm off track on my goal because I didn't spend enough time on that. And so I may readjust my schedule coming into the month. And lastly, number 6 is focus. Our job is to be 100% present with the people that are in front of us. And so I really think it's important for us to take breaks and rest, recover between meetings, schedule meetings in such a way that we are mentally fresh and fully present when a CEO or someone that we need to spend time with and invest in is sitting across from us. So the big picture here is by color coding my calendar, reviewing it on a monthly basis, making adjustments, and reaping the benefits that I just described, it really lets me know where everything is and where it's not, for that matter. It kind of reminds me of socks in a dryer. Like you open the dryer and 2 or 3 socks have magically disappeared. Now I know where they all are. I know where those hours, I know where those minutes are going, and I know the purpose doing. So if you choose to, how could you start this? Well, here's some steps for you. Number 1, pinpoint your key areas of work. Maybe it's family or travel or coaching or giving back or Vistage or whatever it is. Come up with a simple color coding system that you can buy into and set that up in your calendar. It could be even things like naps, which fall under my health and wellness. And as you go back to episode 5, you can see that I take a nap every day and I build that into my calendar, and it is color-coded yellow because I believe that's good and healthy for me. So start by identifying the things that you want to track and then track them. Then look at your calendar tool. For me, it's Google Calendar, but Outlook, and I'm sure there's many other products out there that have that type of capability. It should be pretty common. Number three is craft your own labels. Build those labels in and just start to look at it and track it. You have to be sure, of course, that you're entering those items using the right color scheme. I have both my chief of staff and REA knows this color scheme. And so when they're scheduling things for me, they'll put the appropriate color on there. Four is just do your best to stick to it. Give it a couple of months of really leaning in on it, and you'll find that it reaps some benefits for you. And then lastly, change it along the way. I mean, mine has changed a number of times over the years, and I imagine it will continue to morph and change over time. But they're not set in stone. These are things that you want to look at and review maybe weekly initially, go to monthly eventually, but adjusting this and figuring out what you need to do and when you need to do it will help you increase your productivity and reap those other benefits that we talked about. I like to say put things where they go and when they go. And a color-coded calendar system is helpful for me to do exactly that. Here's a couple of books and resources that just since we're talking about productivity, I wanted to highlight for you. Just about once a year, I'll read the book Getting Things Done by David Allen. I think it's terrific. Do It Tomorrow by Mark Forster is another book that is fantastic. I think most of us by now have read The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard, and his library of books and content is fantastic. The 7 Habits of Stephen Covey is an iconic book. Again, I think most of us have read that, but it's a great book in the context of improving productivity. And then Neil Fiore's The Now Habit is another book that I highly recommend that helps you really understand urgency and getting things done when you need to get them done. Last link for you, we'll put all of this in the show notes for you, but if you go to my website at tomcuthbert.com/productivity, you can see some resources that I posted a while back that will help you maybe get a handle on some of these things and expand on how I work to improve productivity in my life, how I work less and do more. So clarity, balance, productivity, less stress, hitting your goals, all of these things are great benefits from this. So go grab a calendar tool, slap some labels on it. Let me know how it goes. And maybe you want to swing for the fences and label one of yours world domination. Just if you're really thinking big, you go for it. I'm behind you and here to help with anything that I can. So thanks for hanging out. And I appreciate your interest in our podcast. I appreciate you sharing this resource with others. And if you have any thoughts, please let us know. Put a few other resources in the notes, the show notes for you that are podcasts and other resources and things that I thought would be useful as it relates to productivity. And of course, we'll be talking more about this in the future. So go get them. Talk to you later.
Now it's time for Tom's tips and tricks to optimize your productivity and your chair life.
Hey everyone, welcome to the tips and tricks section of the podcast. Today we're going to talk about rest and recovery and how to stay fully focused between all those busy meetings that we have. You know, as a CEO coach, I have 40 90-minute or so one-to-ones every month with members, coaching clients, and it's spread out over an entire year. That's a lot of conversation. It's 1,000 hours a year of private conversations, and I imagine you're busy as well. And how do you stay fresh between those meetings? Well, one thing just to give you some clarity around that, I take breaks during the year. I'm getting ready here next week. The next episode, in fact, is about sabbaticals and taking some time off. So in July, I don't do any coaching. I don't spend any time with members, and I appreciate them doing this. And of course, I'll be talking about this in episode 22. But it's helpful for me to have that break. I also in March do 3-to-1s, do the same thing in December. March with spring break is a busy month for our members. In December with the holiday is the same. And so we do 3-to-1 meetings. And while that still takes time, it gives me a little bit of break from that routine. But when you think about those months, those 9 months where I have 40 1-to-1s back to back to back to back, in many cases, how do you stay fresh during that? You know, I remember as a kid, my dad took me to England and we spent a few weeks over there. And one thing that stuck out was every time we got on the tubes, you heard the voice say, "Mind the gap, please." And I always thought that was kind of funny. It took me a while as a 17-year-old to really understand what that meant and why that guy was saying that to us. But mind the gap is something that I've thought about over my life. For us, we need to mind the gaps in our life. We need to mind the moments when we need to refresh, when we need to step away, when we need to do something to get us better for what's coming next. So let's mind the gap, because these meetings that we have are the core, the one-to-ones are the core of the business that we do. It's where the magic happens. It's where we build trust. It's where we help them achieve things that they're not even imagining that they could. And we have to be fully present. They're not only expecting it, but it is absolutely necessary for us to be our best for our members. Eckhart Tolle says, realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. And by doing that, we'll be able to be our best self for our members. So how do I do that? I've got 4 or in some cases even 5 one-to-ones a day. So here's some things that I do that help me refresh from one meeting to the next. First of all is I walk outside, no matter the temperature, and Texas gets really hot, but I'll take a lap or so around our building or go on a walkway near our office if it's a little cooler. And even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes, that fresh air boosts my mood, it clears my head, it gets me a little bit of exercise. And so that's the most common thing that I'll do is I schedule 20-minute gaps between my one-to-ones, and I use that generally to walk. I also have a standing desk with a treadmill underneath it. So for the one-to-ones that I have, and it's probably only 10 or 15% of the one-to-ones that I'll do on a monthly basis are on Zoom. But when I am on Zoom, I will often turn on my treadmill and just walk on that. Now, it's kind of weird for the other person. You can't do it and them not know because you're bouncing up and down, at least on the treadmill that I have, but it's an important step. It just keeps our body moving and keeps us fresh. Another thing I do is take a brief, maybe not a full nap, but 15 minutes or so of just sitting, listening to music or something relaxing, and close my eyes. I have a recliner in my office that leans back nicely. And so just that moment of reflecting and quiet, even if I'm not sleeping, is a great refresher. If you want to learn more about full naps, which I do every afternoon, go back to episode 5 and check that out. And then the last thing is just hydrating. So obviously drinking a lot of water, but drinking things that have electrolytes in them are important as well. And snacking with healthy things. I'll often eat a yogurt in the afternoon, or munch on some nuts, or, eat a light lunch, not too heavy. But things like that will really help us. Certainly fruits and stuff like that. So having some snacks, and I bring my lunch to work every day, having some snacks and things that are readily available for us to grab and eat during those breaks is a good way to stay fresh. Now, there's also some intentional things that we can do that I've learned mostly from Vistage speakers over the years. And so let me run through this list with you. These are not necessarily time-bound. These are things that you could do on a break during a one-to-one, just kind of walking down the hall. The first one is a breathing exercise. Do the 4-7-8 technique. 4 seconds in, hold for 7 seconds, exhale for 8 seconds. I learned that from a Vistage speaker, and it's been very effective for me. I mentioned just closing my eyes for a few minutes. It could be meditation or prayer, or using apps like Headspace and things like that to just kind of give you a mental break between meetings. Stretching is another thing that I do. I have a balance board in my office, and I use that quite often to just kind of engage my legs and my balance. I also will touch my toes, lean back, do many of the things that I've also learned from some Vistage speakers, but physical movement is really critical. Mindfulness, just staying present, getting things in your environment that do not distract you between meetings. It's so easy for us to pick up at the end of a one-to-one and take that 20 minutes and go check email or go work on a project or something like that. I intentionally don't do that, as I check email 3 times a day: early morning for 10 minutes, lunchtime, which I don't take lunch, so I've got about 10 minutes then, and then end of day, I get to 0 inbox. And that's my routine. And so the 20-minute times between my one-to-ones are filled with me trying to be recovering, try to get ready for the next one-to-one. So optimizing the environment around that is really important. In addition to getting rid of visible things like phones and making it easy for you to just jump into email or other things, put those things out of the way. Create an environment that is focused on being distraction-free. If you're resting, put in noise-canceling headphones, making sure your work environment is distraction-free. People know not to come in to bother you. All of those things are really critical. So there's some ideas on some things that you can do. And you may have some that you want to share with me. Send me a note. Let me know what you're doing. I'm happy to share those with our community as well. But when I look at my calendar and I build the ideal calendar for me, I am always mindful of building in breaks between sessions, between one-to-ones in particular. So using that, scheduling 3-to-1s in March and December has been helpful for me. Taking off in July, as you'll hear in the next episode, is an important thing that I've been doing now for over 10 years. And then just taking time to do things that re-energize me for the next session. So I hope that you'll take time to try some of these out, see what fuels your leadership, what helps you move forward. I'm going to add a few resources at the end of this section as well, with books around how to refresh ourselves and how to make sure we're focusing on recovery. So lean in. The work you're doing is significant. And to be honest with you, it's very difficult, far more difficult than most people realize, to be attentive and listening and present fully for a full day. I hope these tips and tricks help you improve in that area so we can continue to do the significant work that we do for those that we care about.
Thanks for listening to the ChairLife podcast. Remember, you can find more resources at tomcuthbert.com. Please let others know about our podcast by sending them to chairlifepodcast.com. See you next time on the ChairLife podcast.